In the heart of Warsaw, a city steeped in history and culture, a dark chapter unfolded as the Nazis tightened their grip on the Polish capital. By late 1940, the establishment of the Warsaw Ghetto marked the beginning of an unprecedented era of suffering and resilience. The ghetto, a mere 1.3 square miles in size, became a prison for over 400,000 Jews, crammed into overcrowded tenements, where the air was thick with despair and deprivation. The Nazis, in their quest for control, imposed a regime of starvation and humiliation. Official rations allotted to Jews were set at a mere 184 calories per day, a grotesque mockery of sustenance that left families on the brink of starvation. When the winter of 1940 set in, the harsh conditions exacerbated the suffering, with many succumbing to hunger, cold, and disease. Yet, amidst this bleak reality, a flicker of defiance began to emerge. Long lines formed at the few shops allowed to operate within the ghetto, where residents waited for hours in hopes of securing meager rations. These lines, derisively labeled bread queues by the Nazis, became a stage for quiet resistance. Among those waiting were women traders, whose presence belied the true purpose of their actions. While the Nazis dismissed them as opportunists, these women were the architects of an underground network, working tirelessly to provide sustenance to their families and neighbors. The bread traders, as they came to be known, navigated the treacherous landscape of the ghetto with a blend of ingenuity and courage. They understood the risks involved. Discovery could lead to imprisonment or execution, but their determination to survive and support their community outweighed their fears. They employed various methods to conceal their activities, from hiding food beneath their clothing to forging connections with those outside the ghetto willing to assist in their efforts. During the illusion of normalcy began to crack under the weight of starvation and despair, the bread traders laid the groundwork for a resistance movement that would soon rise to challenge the Nazi regime. Their actions not only sustained life within the ghetto but also ignited a spirit of defiance that would resonate throughout the community, setting the stage for a larger confrontation against oppression. The Warsaw Ghetto was established on October 12, 1940, as part of the Nazis' broader strategy to isolate and control the Jewish population of occupied Poland. Warsaw, once a bustling metropolis with a rich cultural heritage, became a site of systematic dehumanization. The ghetto was surrounded by a high wall, and access was strictly controlled, with armed guards monitoring the gates. Inside, the conditions were dire: overcrowding, inadequate sanitation, and the lack of basic necessities created a breeding ground for disease. Daily life within the ghetto was a struggle for survival. Families were crammed into small apartments, often sharing living spaces with multiple households. The streets were filled with the sounds of despair, cries of hunger, the shuffling of feet in the bread queues, and whispers of fear as residents navigated the oppressive atmosphere. The ghetto's inhabitants faced not only the physical toll of starvation but also the psychological burden of living under constant threat of violence and deportation. By the time the situation worsened, the bread traders emerged as vital figures within the ghetto. These women, often mothers and grandmothers, took on the responsibility of securing food and supplies for their families. They understood that the meager rations provided by the Nazis were insufficient for survival, and their resourcefulness became a lifeline for the community. The traders developed an intricate network of connections, both within the ghetto and with sympathetic individuals outside its walls. The logistics of their operations were complex and fraught with danger. The Nazis imposed strict controls on the movement of goods, and inspections at the ghetto gates were frequent. The traders employed various strategies to smuggle food and other essentials into the ghetto. Some used false documents to pose as Aryans, while others relied on the goodwill of Polish citizens who risked their own safety to help. The traders communicated through coded messages, ensuring that their plans remained hidden from the watchful eyes of the Nazi authorities. The bread traders' efforts were not limited to food alone. They also smuggled in medical supplies, clothing, and other necessities. The sense of solidarity among the traders and the residents of the ghetto grew stronger as they worked together to survive. The underground network they formed became a symbol of resilience, demonstrating that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human spirit could endure. As 1941 progressed, the situation in the ghetto continued to deteriorate. The Nazis intensified their efforts to control the population, implementing harsher measures that further restricted access to food and resources. Yet, the bread traders remained undeterred, driven by a fierce determination to protect their families and their community. Their actions laid the groundwork for a larger resistance movement, one that would soon rise to challenge the Nazi regime. The Warsaw Ghetto was not merely a site of suffering. It became a crucible for resistance. The bread traders, through their courage and ingenuity, played a crucial role in sustaining the ghetto's inhabitants and fostering a spirit of defiance. Their legacy would resonate long after the ghetto's destruction, serving as a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit in the face of tyranny. By 1942, the situation in the Warsaw Ghetto had reached a critical point. The Nazis, intent on implementing the final solution, intensified their efforts to control and ultimately liquidate the ghetto. Deportations to extermination camps began in earnest, with thousands of Jews being forcibly removed from their homes and sent to their deaths. The ghetto's population, already weakened by starvation and disease, faced an existential threat. Amidst this turmoil, the bread traders continued their work, undeterred by the increasing danger. Inspections at the ghetto's gates became more rigorous, with guards conducting thorough searches of individuals and their belongings. The penalties for smuggling were severe, with those caught facing imprisonment, torture, or execution. Yet, the traders persevered, driven by the urgent need to feed their families and neighbors. The struggle for survival was not only a physical battle but a psychological one as well. The constant threat of violence and deportation took a heavy toll on the ghetto's residents, leading to a pervasive sense of fear and despair. The traders, aware of the stakes, were determined to provide not only sustenance but also a sense of hope and solidarity for their community. The tension within the ghetto was palpable, as the population dwindled under the weight of starvation and deportations. The traders' resolve was tested as they confronted not only the threat of Nazi violence but also the despair that threatened to engulf their community. Yet, they remained steadfast, their actions a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. As the situation grew more dire, the traders began to realize the profound impact of their work. The food and supplies they smuggled into the ghetto not only sustained lives, but also fostered a sense of hope and defiance among the residents. Their efforts became a rallying point for the community, inspiring others to join the resistance and prepare for a larger confrontation. The struggle for survival in the Warsaw Ghetto was a testament to the power of collective action and the indomitable spirit of those who refused to be broken. The traders, through their courage and ingenuity, played a crucial role in sustaining the ghetto's inhabitants, laying the groundwork for a resistance movement that would soon rise to challenge the Nazi regime. As the year progressed, the bread traders found themselves at the center of a growing network of resistance. Their operations expanded beyond mere food smuggling. They began to coordinate with other groups within the ghetto, sharing intelligence and resources. This collaboration was essential, as the Nazis ramped up their efforts to liquidate the ghetto, and the need for organized resistance became increasingly urgent. The traders established connections with various factions within the ghetto, including the Jewish Combat Organization, ZOB, and the Jewish Military Union, ZZW. These groups were composed of young men and women who were determined to fight back against the Nazis, and they recognized the vital role that the bread traders played in their efforts. The smuggled food and supplies were not only crucial for survival, but also for sustaining the morale of the fighters preparing for a potential uprising. As the bread traders worked to secure food, they also began to smuggle in weapons and ammunition. This redirection of focus was a direct response to the growing realization that passive survival was no longer an option. The traders understood that the only way to confront the Nazis was through organized resistance, and they were determined to do their part. The psychological toll of the ongoing deportations weighed heavily on the ghetto's inhabitants. Families were torn apart, and friends disappeared overnight, leaving behind a pervasive sense of loss and hopelessness. In this environment, the traders became beacons of hope, their efforts a reminder that resistance was possible, even in the face of overwhelming odds. The bread traders also took on the role of community organizers, holding secret meetings to discuss strategies for resistance. They shared stories of successful smuggling operations, inspiring others to join their cause. The ghetto's residents began to see the traders not just as suppliers of food, but as leaders in their struggle for survival. As the summer of 1942 approached, the situation in the ghetto became increasingly dire. The Nazis began to implement more aggressive measures, including mass roundups and deportations. The traders, aware of the imminent danger, intensified their efforts. They worked tirelessly to secure food and supplies, knowing that each day could bring new challenges. The smuggling operations became more sophisticated, with traders developing new routes and methods to evade detection. They utilized the ghetto's labyrinthine layout to their advantage, creating a network of hidden passageways and secret meeting spots. The sense of camaraderie among the traders grew stronger, as they relied on one another for support and protection. Despite the risks, the traders continued to smuggle food, medical supplies, and weapons into the ghetto. Their actions were driven by a deep sense of responsibility to their community, a commitment to defy the dehumanizing conditions imposed by their oppressors. As the situation grew more desperate, the traders became increasingly aware of their role as catalysts for change. The psychological impact of their efforts was profound. The food they smuggled not only nourished bodies but also fed the spirit of resistance. The ghetto's residents began to organize themselves, drawing strength from the example set by the traders. Secret meetings were held to discuss strategies for resistance, and plans were laid for a larger confrontation with the Nazis. As the summer turned to fall, the atmosphere in the ghetto shifted. The traders' efforts had fostered a sense of unity among the residents, who began to see themselves as part of a larger struggle. The realization that they were not alone in their fight against oppression ignited a spark of hope that had been all but extinguished. The bread traders became symbols of resilience, their actions inspiring others to join the fight. The ghetto's inhabitants began to recognize the importance of collective action, understanding that their survival depended on their ability to work together. The traders, once seen as mere opportunists, were now viewed as leaders in the struggle for dignity and freedom. By the end of that year, the ghetto was a place transformed. The despair that had once threatened to engulf the community was now tempered by a burgeoning sense of hope and determination. The traders' actions had laid the groundwork for a larger movement, one that would soon rise to challenge the Nazi regime. The struggle for survival in the Warsaw Ghetto was not just about food and supplies, it was about reclaiming dignity and humanity in the face of dehumanization. The bread traders, through their courage and ingenuity, played a crucial role in sustaining the ghetto's inhabitants, inspiring a collective spirit of resistance that would soon culminate in the uprising. As 1942 came to an end, the resistance prepared for a confrontation that would forever alter the course of history. The bread traders, whose efforts had sustained the resistance, emerged as heroes, their legacy a testament to the power of collective action and the indomitable spirit of those who refused to be broken. In the heart of the Warsaw Ghetto, where despair seemed to have taken root in every corner, an unexpected revelation began to unfold. The clandestine efforts of the women traders, those who had been derisively labeled as mere bread traders by the Nazis, were beginning to show their profound impact. The food and supplies they smuggled into the ghetto were more than just sustenance. They were lifelines, threads of hope woven into the fabric of a community on the brink of collapse. As 1942 progressed, the ghetto was a place of unimaginable hardship. The Nazis' final solution was becoming an ever-present specter, casting a long shadow over the Jewish inhabitants. Deportations to the Treblinka extermination camp were ramping up, and the population of the ghetto was dwindling at an alarming rate. Yet, amidst this grim reality, the efforts of the women traders were beginning to foster a sense of solidarity and resilience among the residents. The smuggling operations were fraught with danger. The women, often with children in tow, navigated the perilous routes between the ghetto and the outside world, using every ounce of ingenuity to conceal their precious cargo. They hid food in false-bottomed baskets, sewed supplies into the linings of their clothing, and even used the sewers as secret passageways. Each journey was a gamble, with the ever-present risk of discovery and brutal punishment by the Nazi guards. Despite these dangers, the traders persisted. Their actions were driven by a profound sense of duty to their community, a commitment to defy the dehumanizing conditions imposed by their oppressors. As word of their efforts spread, the ghetto's inhabitants began to rally around these women, recognizing them as vital figures in their struggle for survival. The food they brought in was shared communally, a testament to the collective spirit that was beginning to take hold. This burgeoning sense of community was not lost on the ghetto's leaders. Figures like Emanuel Ringelblum, a historian and chronicler of the ghetto's experiences, began to document the traders' efforts, recognizing their significance in the broader context of Jewish resistance. The smuggling operations were not just acts of defiance, they were acts of preservation, safeguarding the cultural and spiritual identity of the Jewish people in Warsaw. As the year wore on, the effect of the smuggling became increasingly evident. The food and supplies provided a crucial buffer against the starvation that threatened to decimate the ghetto's population. But more than that, they instilled a sense of agency and empowerment among the residents. The knowledge that there were those willing to risk everything for the sake of their community inspired a renewed spirit of defiance. This revelation was a turning point. The ghetto's inhabitants began to organize, drawing strength from the example set by the women traders. Secret meetings were held to discuss strategies for resistance, and plans were laid for a larger confrontation with the Nazis. The smuggling operations had ignited a spark, one that would soon grow into a flame of rebellion. As 1942 drew to a close, the Warsaw Ghetto was a place transformed. The despair that had once threatened to engulf the community was now tempered by a burgeoning sense of hope and determination. The women traders, once dismissed as opportunists, were now recognized as heroes, their actions a testament to the power of collective resistance. The resistance prepared for the next chapter in the ghetto's struggle, one that would forever alter the course of history. The effect of the smuggling operations extended beyond mere survival. It fostered a culture of resistance that permeated the ghetto. The bread traders became symbols of courage, their efforts inspiring others to take action. As the community began to unite, the realization that they could collectively resist their oppressors took root. The psychological transformation within the ghetto was profound. The food they smuggled not only nourished bodies but also fed the spirit of resistance. The ghetto's residents began to see themselves as part of a larger struggle, understanding that their survival depended on their ability to work together. The traders, once seen as mere suppliers of food, were now viewed as leaders in the fight for dignity and freedom. As the winter of 1942 approached, the ghetto's inhabitants faced an uncertain future. The Nazis' plans for liquidation loomed large, and the threat of deportation was ever present. Yet, the traders' efforts had instilled a sense of hope that had been all but extinguished. The knowledge that they were not alone in their fight against oppression ignited a spark of resistance that would soon culminate in a larger confrontation. The bread traders, through their courage and ingenuity, played a crucial role in sustaining the ghetto's inhabitants. Their actions not only provided essential supplies but also fostered a sense of community and solidarity. The ghetto's residents began to recognize the importance of collective action, understanding that their survival depended on their ability to work together. As the year came to a close, the resistance prepared for a confrontation that would forever alter the course of history. The Warsaw Ghetto was no longer just a place of despair. It had become a symbol of resistance, a testament to the power of collective action in the face of overwhelming odds. The women traders, whose efforts had sustained the resistance, emerged as heroes, their legacy a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit. The revelation of the effect of the smuggling operations marked a turning point in the struggle for survival within the ghetto. The traders had transformed the narrative from one of passive survival to one of active resistance. Their actions inspired others to join the fight, laying the groundwork for the uprising that would soon unfold. As the ghetto prepared for the confrontation that lay ahead, the spirit of resistance was palpable. The bread traders, once dismissed as mere opportunists, were now recognized as vital figures in the struggle for survival. Their legacy would endure, a testament to the power of collective action and the indomitable spirit of those who refused to be broken. The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, which began on April 19, 1943, was not merely a spontaneous rebellion, it was the culmination of months of quiet preparation, fueled by desperation and the indomitable spirit of a community refusing to be extinguished. As the Nazis intensified their campaign of extermination, the inhabitants of the ghetto, led by the Jewish Combat Organization, ZOB, and the Jewish Military Union, ZZW, rose up against their oppressors in a desperate bid for survival and dignity. The uprising was a profound turning point, not only for the residents of the ghetto but for the entire Jewish community in Europe. It symbolized a shift from passive acceptance of their fate to an active resistance against the machinery of genocide. The bread traders, who had been the lifeblood of the underground network, found themselves at the forefront of this struggle. Their efforts to smuggle food and supplies had not only sustained the community, but had also provided the means to arm themselves for the fight ahead. As the first shots rang out, the atmosphere in the ghetto shifted dramatically. The initial days of the uprising were characterized by fierce resistance. Armed with whatever weapons they could muster, pistols, rifles, and homemade explosives, the fighters engaged the heavily armed Nazi troops in a series of skirmishes. The narrow streets of the ghetto became a battleground, echoing with the sounds of gunfire and cries of defiance. Despite their bravery, the fighters faced overwhelming odds. The Nazis, determined to quash the rebellion, brought in reinforcements and heavy artillery. The ghetto was subjected to relentless bombardment, and the once thriving community was reduced to ruins. Yet, the spirit of resistance remained unbroken. The women traders, who had risked their lives to sustain the ghetto, now took up arms alongside their male counterparts. Their intimate knowledge of the ghetto's layout became invaluable, allowing them to guide fighters through hidden passages and evade Nazi patrols. The uprising was not without its moral dilemmas. As the fighters engaged in combat, they faced difficult choices about the use of violence and the potential consequences of their actions. The decision to resist was fraught with peril. Every act of defiance risked not only their lives but also the lives of those who remained in the ghetto. The fear of reprisals loomed large, and the threat of collective punishment hung over the community. Yet, the choice to fight was also a choice to reclaim their dignity, to assert their humanity in the face of dehumanization. As the days turned into weeks, the situation grew increasingly dire. The Nazis intensified their efforts to crush the uprising, employing brutal tactics to instill fear among the remaining inhabitants. The ghetto was systematically razed, buildings reduced to rubble, and the population dwindled under the weight of starvation and violence. Yet, even in the face of such devastation, the fighters continued to resist, their resolve unyielding. The final days of the uprising were marked by desperation and heroism. The fighters, outnumbered and outgunned, retreated into the ghetto's bunkers and hideouts, continuing to engage in guerrilla tactics. The women traders, many of whom had lost family members and friends, remained committed to the cause. They provided crucial support, smuggling in supplies and relaying messages between different factions of the resistance. Their courage and resourcefulness became a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. On May 16, 1943, the Nazis declared the uprising crushed. The Great Synagogue of Warsaw was destroyed in a symbolic act of triumph, but the spirit of resistance lived on. The uprising, though ultimately unsuccessful in its immediate goals, became a pivotal moment in the history of Jewish resistance during the Holocaust. It demonstrated that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human spirit could rise up against tyranny. The consequences of the uprising were profound. While the Nazis succeeded in their brutal suppression, the enduring legacy of the resistance endured. The uprising inspired other acts of defiance across Europe, fueling a broader narrative of Jewish resistance against the Nazis. The bravery of the fighters, particularly the women traders who had sustained the underground network, became emblematic of the struggle for dignity and survival. The moral dilemmas faced during the uprising also sparked important discussions within the Jewish community and beyond. The choice to resist, to take up arms against an oppressor, raised questions about the nature of resistance itself. Was it justified to resort to violence in the face of genocide? What were the moral implications of fighting back when the odds were so heavily stacked against them? These questions would resonate long after the smoke of battle had cleared, shaping the discourse around resistance during the Holocaust. The Warsaw Ghetto uprising ultimately became a symbol of hope and defiance, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable adversity. The actions of the women traders and the fighters who stood alongside them served as a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, the will to resist and the desire for dignity could not be extinguished. In the wake of the Warsaw Ghetto uprising, the landscape of the ghetto was one of devastation and despair. The Nazis had succeeded in their brutal suppression, leaving behind a scarred and shattered community. Yet, amidst the ruins, a transformation began to take shape, a legacy of resistance that would resonate far beyond the confines of the ghetto. The aftermath of the uprising was marked by profound loss. The once thriving community that had existed within the ghetto was decimated. Thousands had perished in the fighting, while many others were deported to extermination camps. The survivors were left to grapple with the trauma of their experiences, the weight of grief and loss heavy upon their shoulders. Yet, even in the face of such overwhelming sorrow, the spirit of resistance endured. The stories of the women traders, who had played a pivotal role in sustaining the uprising, began to circulate beyond the confines of the ghetto. Their courage and ingenuity were celebrated as acts of heroism, inspiring others to remember the importance of standing against tyranny. The transformation from mere survival to active defiance reshaped the identity of the Jewish community in Warsaw, leaving an indelible mark on the collective memory of the Holocaust. In the years following the war, the enduring legacy of the women traders became an integral part of Holocaust remembrance. Historians and scholars sought to document their contributions to the resistance, ensuring that their stories would not be forgotten. The Ringelblum Archive, a clandestine collection of documents chronicling life in the ghetto, included accounts of the traders' efforts, providing invaluable insights into their role in the resistance. The transformation of the ghetto's inhabitants from victims to active participants in their own destiny was a powerful narrative that resonated with future generations. It served as a source of inspiration for those who sought to understand the complexities of resistance during the Holocaust, highlighting the importance of agency and empowerment in the face of adversity. The narrative of the women who risked everything to feed their community and sustain the uprising became a cornerstone of Holocaust remembrance. As the decades passed, the stories of the women traders continued to resonate with new generations. Their courage and determination were celebrated in literature, documentaries, and memorials dedicated to the resistance. The narrative of the women who risked everything to feed their community serves as a powerful reminder of the moral imperatives of standing against oppression in all its forms. The transformation of the Warsaw Ghetto into a symbol of resistance was not without its challenges. The complexities of memory and trauma shaped the ways in which the uprising was remembered. Some survivors grappled with feelings of guilt for having survived while others perished. The moral dilemmas faced during the uprising continued to spark discussions about the nature of resistance and the choices made in the face of genocide. In Poland and beyond, the enduring legacy of the Warsaw Ghetto uprising became a focal point for discussions about Jewish identity and resilience. The stories of the women traders and the fighters who stood alongside them served as a powerful reminder of the importance of solidarity and resistance against tyranny. Their actions inspired future generations to remember the lessons of the past and to stand against oppression in all its forms. Today, the enduring legacy of the bread traders serves as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Their actions remind us of the importance of solidarity and resistance against tyranny, inspiring future generations to remember the lessons of the past and to stand against oppression in all its forms. The account of the women traders of the Warsaw Ghetto is a testament to the power of collective action and the enduring legacy of resistance in the face of overwhelming odds. The aftermath of the uprising ultimately transformed not only the narrative of the Holocaust but also the understanding of resistance itself. The bravery of the women traders and the fighters who stood alongside them became emblematic of the struggle for dignity and survival, a legacy that would continue to inspire and resonate for generations to come. In the aftermath of World War II, as the dust settled on a continent scarred by conflict and genocide, the world was left to grapple with the profound implications of the Holocaust. The sheer scale of loss was staggering, with 6 million Jews murdered, countless lives shattered, and entire communities obliterated. Yet, amidst this darkness, stories of resistance and resilience began to emerge, illuminating the indomitable spirit of those who had fought back against their oppressors. Among these stories were the remarkable accounts of the bread traders of the Warsaw Ghetto, whose courage and ingenuity had played a pivotal role in sustaining the underground resistance during one of history's darkest chapters. The post-war period marked a significant turning point in how the Holocaust was remembered and commemorated. Survivors, historians, and activists sought to ensure that the experiences of those who lived through the horrors of the ghetto would not be forgotten. The narratives of the women traders, who had risked everything to feed their community and support the uprising, became integral to this effort. Their actions were celebrated as acts of heroism, serving as a powerful reminder of the human spirit's capacity for courage and solidarity in the face of tyranny. As the world began to confront the reality of the Holocaust, memorials and museums dedicated to its memory sprang up across Europe and beyond. The Warsaw Ghetto uprising, in particular, became a focal point for remembrance, with the stories of the bread traders highlighted as a testament to the power of collective action against oppression. In 1948, the Warsaw Ghetto Memorial was erected, honoring the bravery of those who fought and died in the uprising. This memorial served not only as a tribute to the fallen but also as a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit. In the decades that followed, the enduring legacy of the bread traders was further enshrined in literature, film, and education. Books chronicling the experiences of the ghetto's inhabitants began to emerge, with authors like Isaac Bashevis Singer and Elie Wiesel weaving narratives that captured the essence of resistance and survival. Documentaries and films, such as The Pianist and Uprising, brought the stories of the ghetto's fighters to a wider audience, ensuring that the memory of the bread traders and their contributions would endure. Educational initiatives also played a crucial role in preserving the enduring legacy of the bread traders. Holocaust education programs were developed in schools around the world, emphasizing the importance of remembering the past and learning from it. The stories of the women traders were incorporated into curricula, highlighting their role in the resistance and the broader struggle for human rights. These educational efforts aimed to instill a sense of responsibility in future generations, encouraging them to stand against oppression and injustice in all its forms. The enduring legacy of the bread traders extended far beyond the confines of the Warsaw Ghetto. Their actions had a profound impact on Jewish identity and the understanding of resistance during the Holocaust. The transformation of the ghetto's inhabitants from victims to active participants in their own destiny reshaped the narrative of Jewish history, emphasizing the importance of agency and empowerment in the face of adversity. In the years following the war, the stories of the bread traders inspired a renewed sense of pride and resilience within the Jewish community. The recognition of their contributions to the resistance became a source of strength, reminding individuals of their capacity for courage and solidarity. This legacy of resistance was not only a testament to the past, but also a guiding principle for future generations, encouraging them to confront injustice and stand up for their rights. The effect of the bread traders' legacy was also felt in the broader context of human rights movements. As the world grappled with the implications of the Holocaust, the lessons learned from the experiences of the ghetto's inhabitants became relevant to contemporary struggles against oppression. The narratives of resistance and resilience resonated with those fighting for civil rights, social justice, and equality, serving as a reminder that the fight against tyranny is a universal struggle. The stories of the bread traders also contributed to a broader recognition of the role of women in resistance movements throughout history. While the narratives of male fighters often dominated the discourse surrounding the Holocaust, the contributions of women like the bread traders began to receive the attention they deserved. Their courage and resourcefulness in the face of unimaginable adversity challenged traditional gender roles and highlighted the vital role women played in the resistance. In the years following the war, feminist scholars and activists sought to reclaim the narratives of women in history, emphasizing their contributions to social movements and resistance efforts. The enduring legacy of the bread traders became emblematic of this broader movement, inspiring a re-evaluation of women's roles in the struggle against oppression. Their stories served as a powerful reminder that resistance takes many forms, and that courage can be found in the most unexpected places. As the decades passed, the enduring legacy of the bread traders continued to resonate with new generations. Their stories were preserved through various forms of documentation and remembrance, ensuring that their contributions would not be forgotten. The Ringwaldblum Archive, a clandestine collection of documents chronicling life in the ghetto, included accounts of the traders' efforts, providing invaluable insights into their role in the resistance. In contemporary society, the narratives of the bread traders have found new life in art, literature, and activism. Artists and writers have drawn inspiration from their stories, creating works that explore themes of resilience, solidarity, and the human spirit's capacity for defiance. The bread traders have become symbols of hope and resistance, reminding us of the importance of standing up against tyranny and injustice. Moreover, the enduring legacy of the bread traders has been embraced by various organizations dedicated to Holocaust education and remembrance. Initiatives aimed at preserving their stories and promoting awareness of the Holocaust have emerged, ensuring that the lessons of the past continue to resonate in the present. These efforts serve as a testament to the enduring power of collective memory and the importance of honoring those who fought for their dignity and freedom. The enduring legacy of the bread traders of the Warsaw Ghetto is a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Their actions, driven by a profound sense of duty to their community, exemplified the capacity for courage and solidarity in the face of overwhelming odds. As the world continues to confront the complexities of history, the stories of the bread traders serve as a reminder of the importance of agency, empowerment, and resistance. In a world still grappling with issues of oppression and injustice, the enduring legacy of the bread traders remains relevant. Their stories inspire us to confront tyranny in all its forms, to stand in solidarity with those who suffer, and to remember the lessons of the past. The women who risked everything to feed their community and sustain the uprising have become symbols of hope and resilience, their legacy etched into the annals of history. As we reflect on the effect of the bread traders, we are reminded that the fight against oppression is a collective struggle, one that requires the courage and determination of individuals willing to stand up for what is right. Their legacy endures, a beacon of hope for future generations, urging us to remember the past and to strive for a world where dignity, freedom, and justice prevail.